Hi, y'all. So, like Rebecca said, I'm Jessica.
I'm Shannon.
And so I guess telling you all a little bit about my advocacy story, the reason why I came to Shot at Life. So when I first heard about Shot at Life, I was a student at the University of South Florida studying public health. And prevention is something that was always very, very important to me. And I was always very passionate about vaccines. And when I came across Shot at Life, the organization really clicked to me for a couple reasons, right? So shots are like one of the most preventative measures that are cost effective in public health in terms of saving lives. So that's something that I was really passionate about. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually the granddaughter of a polio survivor. And so that's something that also attracted me about the organization. And then one of the things we always say a lot is vaccines don't have borders. And as the daughter of two immigrants, that's something that I'm very passionate about because we're constantly traveling from place to place in a world of constant globalization. Shots are so preventative for us. And so for me in my advocacy journey, I really started off with Shot at Life, like not knowing much, asking all the questions one might ask and, trying to learn from all the people who have been here for so much longer than I have. And over time, like I've really grown a lot of love for this campaign and this organization. And, I learned through time on how best to assert my advocacy, whether it's through LTEs or talking to my members of Congress or posting on social media.
I still get nervous when we do some of our activations. And I know that is kind of crazy given all the information that the great, amazing Shot at Life staff gives us. But I don't hang out on Capitol Hill regularly. I don't go into meetings with people I don't know all the time. And to be honest, phone banks still kind of freak me out. And every time I get nervous when that number is ringing through to the switchboard. And every time I'm done, I feel a million times better and laugh at myself because it was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. So if you feel a little bit uncomfortable or nervous, I'd love to normalize that and remind you that it's going to be easier than you think. Also, keep in mind what you do really matters and it has an impact. So know that you might think that it's not mattering, but it does. I can't implore you enough to believe that. And then when I got to travel to Uganda, it was easy to see firsthand, talking to the mother that was there because she knew children had died from the diseases that these vaccines were preventing. I mean, when you hear these stories of how women gave up, a full day of work in their fields and walked for miles and miles to an open air vaccine clinic because there's not enough room to fit them into the places with walls, you learn that walls are optional, but vaccines are not. So please know that people around the world are grateful for you being here tonight and grateful for all of your efforts, making your phone calls and doing e-meetings and writing your LTEs. They really matter. It's really fun too, is the other thing. Like I think there's a Molly Ivins quote from, make a difference, but have fun doing it. And I hope that you guys get to have fun in the process of advocacy because it really can be a great experience with a good time with some amazing people. There's a lot of people out there who agree with our message. And I think sometimes dissenters can just be super loud. And I think it's a really lovely thing too, to remind people and lawmakers especially, but even just the population in general, of there's a lot of support out there for what we're doing. We are a bipartisan organization and a problem with a solution. Like very rarely do you find that.
But when we just got the newest senator here in Florida, we didn't have a history with them. I remember I called in on a day where we were phone banking and they're like, this is the 5th call we've received today about Shot at Life. And, the senator is not very familiar yet with this campaign. But, seeing how many people have called in, we'll definitely get this on our radar to get like some sort of meeting with you in district soon. And that was just from a call, just because there was such an amplified voice. And now we've worked over the last year or two with that office to form a relationship with that senator. And I think they've come a long way in terms of supporting us now.
I think there's something to be said too about like just doing concentrated time. Like it's amazing what you can get done for Shot at Life in an hour. Like I really think you can make your way through at least 5 of the 6 items for Mobilize to Immunize. It seems like a lot until you sit down and do it, and then it goes really fast. And if I could, I'd love to piggyback on something Bridget just said in the chat about the senators seem to love to hear from the pro-vaccine community, which is us. And I did hear that from a staffer in Illinois too. And they're like, we fully support your cause, but we are inundated with calls from the anti-vax community. So just even hearing from that, he's like, she's going to support you no matter what, but it's much easier to support you when we can say we're getting these calls. We have these numbers. There are people who care, and we do hear from them.
don't go in feeling like you need to know everything. I know I went in kind of with that notion, and it would get my jitters up and I would be super nervous. But in reality, like, these staffers are people just like you and I, right? Like, I've run into my staffer at the grocery store before. Like, they're just normal people like you and I. And so a lot of times, especially with the in-district meetings, whether in person or virtual, they're so happy to see us. And if there's something that you don't know the answer to, then, like, I don't know the answer, and that's completely fine, but I'm going to check in with my team and I'll get back to you. And like I think Shannan said earlier, it gives you a chance to build that relationship, and to really connect with the people from that office.
So I want to thank our panelists. Thank you, Shannan. Thank you, Jessica, for joining Allie and I tonight and sharing your expertise as champions. We're so happy to have you as champions. So thank you for spending the time with us.